Yerp, what's goody team? What's goody team? Welcome to tonight's isolation session. Are we good? I don't even know. All right, cool. Welcome to tonight's isolation session for April 9th, 2026. I think I gave everybody a few minutes to join already. Be ready in the chat, let me know. Gonna be a quick one today, team. Already on Thursday, going to Friday. You guys already know. Usually Fridays I'm not really trading. So I'm just gonna be looking for continuation trades, kind of just piggyback to what we did yesterday. Update our charts, 30-minute highs and lows, right? We know price gave us higher high, higher low, boom, higher high. So we're going to just update our highs and lows. Should be a quick session today. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, where did my what the heck? If there's no questions, we're just gonna go through this pretty quick. I don't know why I duplicated this for, I'm not gonna lie. 5 minutes? Actually, I got you. Right, this is still the pair where we're looking for price. We're waiting to see where price wants to give us the set higher low or lower high, sorry. To then start looking for those short positions. And on the 5 minute, especially the 1 minute, right? We can start seeing price give us a change of character, lower low. This is where we're gonna want to start seeing price give us that break of structure to give us that confirmation that price is going to continue those downtrends. Price could give us this break on the 5 minute. We know we're trading between this high and that low. We'll be patient with AU. AU should be a good one though. Right, the only thing with AU is obviously we're still making higher highs and higher lows on the 30-minute. Right, but the 4 hour we have a change, lower low. On the daily time frame, we're still trading between the same, the high of the zone of consolidation to the low, right? And we know that this is still lower low, lower high, lower low, and price is just sitting at these equal highs on the daily time frame, right? So technically speaking, we're still on a downtrend on the daily, we're still on a downtrend on the 4 hour. The only thing that the 30-minute is still making higher highs and higher lows. Now, why do I say to be careful with this trade? Even if we get this valid break, right? Because if price is still giving us higher highs and higher lows, especially on the 30-minute time frame, again, this is where a lot of traders are still trading this as an uptrend. This break was a flag post pattern, and we know that we could be expecting a pullback between 23.6 and 38.2. And this is where price could continue this uptrend that we see on the 30-minute time frame, where price is giving us higher highs, higher lows, higher high. Price could give us a higher low somewhere in this area to then continue back up to create another higher high point. Now, I will say this as well, and this is why I say, I don't do this on my chart because I don't like to have so many things, but this is why this is very important. As a trader, you have to give yourself the reasonings behind every decision that you make. Now, is this an area where I'm expecting price to give me another higher high? No. Why? Because in order for this to be a valid higher high point, a strong higher high point, you want to see price give you a valid break of structure, right? A valid break of structure, what does it look like? We'll use the same BOS line. You have one candle that prints above, right? This is the green candle. Shit. Just because this candle closed above the break of structure line does not mean it's a break. This is still a testing candle. A valid break of structure is another green candle. It doesn't have to happen right away. It could be the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. It could be the sixth candle. We need to see another candle close above that first candle's green wick in order for it to be a BOS, and the body and the wick cannot be touching the BOS line. If the wick is touching the BOS line, it's still a testing candle. It's still an inducement, right? With that being said, when we look at the break that price gave us in this area, the first green candle that closed above the break is still touching the line. Cool, it's still an inducement. The next candle, yes, it closed above the wick of the first green candle, but the wick of that candle is still touching the break line. The red candle, same thing, still touching the break line. The next green candle, it closed above, but it's still touching the break line, and price came back down. This is why I am not expecting this to be a simple pullback to give us a higher low back into a higher high. That reasoning alone already gives me a higher probability to take this trade going short in the lower time frame when we get that valid break. However, I am still treading carefully. This is still higher high and higher low, right? So the question at this point is, when you're taking these short positions, what am I looking at? We could be looking at STP, but we understand that STP doesn't have to be hit, especially when you're trading counter trend. So now you have multiple points of interest, right? You already know you could get a pullback, a higher low between 23.6 and 38.2. Once you get in that area, if you see that price is still making lower lows and lower highs, you're good to go. You're using market structure as well. If price gives us this break, right, down to the downside, we have clean traffic all the way up until where? Until this area right here. Now, what does that mean for me? Once price gets to these lows, we'll either see price give us an inducement to go back up, or we'll see price give us the break, the retest, to continue into these lows down here. So this is how I map out my charts. This is just plain and simple, just step by step. This is what I'm looking for on my charts. Every single time I'm on my charts, this is what I'm looking at. So understanding that, once again, we go back to the 30-minute. Price could give us a higher low in this area. Right, we'll mark it up in red so we're not confused. Right? Price could give us a higher low in this area. Price could give us a higher low in this area. For the people who use fibs, it's very simple. For the people who use fibs, what are you looking for? You're either looking for a retracement between 23.6 and 38.2, or you're looking for a 50% retracement, 50 between 50 and 61.8, which is the golden ratio. Or if you're another fib trader using the premium and discount, you're looking at a pullback between 61.8 and the 88.6. And notice where all my points of interest are compared to market structure. It's the same exact thing, right? Numbers on the charts, you guys got to think of it this way. Like, numbers on the charts are just psychological levels, right? But how can you get to a reasoning behind psychology without an answer? You can't. You have the answer. The answers are on the charts, right? And the answers on the charts is market structures: higher highs, higher lows, lower lows. That's literally the language of the charts. But multiple trading strategies and all these tools we have make it easier. If you don't know how to read market structure, all right, cool. We'll give you a little blueprint, which is just the fib retracements. And we know these fib retracements work because they line up with market structure every single time. Let me know if that made sense. So again, this is the reason why I look at the charts the way I look at them. And this is why I use the tools that I have and I show you guys the similarities between them. I literally drew this out right in front of you guys before we even put the FIP. You guys saw it. This is not something that this is the first time that we do this shit every single time we're on the charts. Right? All of these zones that we have, comparing it to market structure, and we compare any other fucking strategy you want to call out. They all work, but you need to understand why they work. These tools work for a reason. Right? Your car is not moving because it's a miracle. Right? The charts aren't moving because you prayed last night. Right? The car has the engine. Same way the charts have market structure. Market structure moves the charts. Everything else is a tool on the car that makes it so much easier to drive. Same thing on the charts. These tools are made for you to make it easier to trade. So again, like we could go on and on with different analogies and everything else. I should keep that on the chart, right? I'm gonna keep these drawings on the charts, except the FIP. So AU will be patient. Again, we already have our zones. We know what we're looking for. Perfect. I'm ready. Ready to trade AU whenever they give me the confirmation. It's that simple. All right, I'm locked. All right, cool. Yeah, you said give me 5, so then I'm like, oh, I'll take my time and update. Talk about AU. So, yeah, any questions, let me know, guys. And especially for the ones watching the recording, any questions, let me know. Again, this is going to be a very quick session. That first pair AU, I gave you guys the gems. You guys already know that's what I'm looking for on every single pair. That's what I'm looking at. ECAD. So again, what I'm looking for today, Thursday going into Friday. Again, Fridays are usually days where I'm not really trading anyway. So all I'm looking for on my charts is continuations. 2 days of rise going into a third day, 2 days of drop. Looking to see if there's any change of character breakup structures that were given, any zones of consolidations that we had that price broke to look for continuations. That's what I'm looking for. Right, waiting to see what pairs. We already know what pairs are uptrending, what pairs are downtrending because I have it marked up here. Right, so if there's a pair that's in level 3, for example, level 3 on an uptrend, that's why it's blue. I already know I'm looking for uptrend moves. If I see that price is giving us lower lows and lower highs, I know I'm not trading it. If it's giving us 2 days of drop, I know I'm not trading it. What did price give us here? Okay, it was a day of rise. This is why I'm able to move through my charts so quick because I already have all the information in front of me. I know where I'm at. I know what EMAs I want to see. I know what part of the market maker's pattern am I in? Am I in an uptrend, downtrend? What level I'm in? What EMA do I want to see being bounced? Right, being used for price to bounce off of it. I already have all that information here on the 30-minute time. Why is my chart frozen? Come on, buddy. GJ gave us another day of rise. Same thing, exactly what we talked about from the example I gave. The same way that it faked you out on GCAD or GA when it gave you that shoulder head shoulder, GJ did the exact same thing. Everything's on the live stream, man. I don't trade in hindsight. That's not. I've done enough research and enough back testing in my years. It's either you know it or you know it. There's no in between in this. This game of trading, it's either you know the information or you know it. There's only one way you're going to be profitable, only way you're going to be able to make this a career is if you know the information. You can't be a surgeon and forget where the heart is, right? You can't be a surgeon and forget how to cut open a patient. It's either you know it or that patient's done. Same thing with the charts. It's the exact same thing. It's either you know it or you know it. It's either you know what you're doing or you're going to blow your account. That's it. This is all the same thing. You don't want to go to a lawyer and you go to a lawyer and he doesn't really know his information. What's going to happen? Man, done. Better find somebody else. I don't like this. I really don't like these zones for US 30. I guess at this point it really doesn't matter. Because we could either say this is the change and this would still be the change. It wouldn't really matter. You don't have a valid break. Well, wait. I'm gonna keep marking it this way, but I know I said this yesterday, and as I see it, as I continue to see it, I just want to say that all of this is part of the same trend. Right? Instead of saying that this is lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, just say that this is lower low, lower high. All of this is part of the same trend, lower low, and we're trading between these highs and these lows. So it's either we get the change up here or we keep the change here, and we're waiting for a higher low point to give us a break higher high. But again, it wouldn't matter anyway at this point because we're still waiting for the same break to happen up here. So we'll keep it marked like that. And then higher high and higher low, we're still in the same area. Let me delete this line here. Again, guys, any questions, let me know, man. Let me know. Higher high point. Gold didn't go to STP today, man. That would have been crazy. But gold was beautiful today. Look at gold real quick. What could we potentially get for tomorrow? Still got these exhaustion candles at the highs, bouncing off the 50. Right, daily again. The only bad thing about this is still on an uptrend on the daily, so this could be a higher low point to continue. But on the 4-hour, we had the change of character again. A change could just still be an inducement to continue. Price gave us a valid break below the 800, which is the only thing that I'm holding on to that's like maybe we'll go down and say that this is a lower low, lower high point. In regards to the EMAs too and where we're at, we're in level 1, right? If we say that we're on a downtrend here, we'll be on a level 1 downtrend, bouncing off the 50, exhaustion candles on the 50. That looks beautiful on the daily. On the 4-hour, not too much. Right, I do like that the 4-hour we have price of the EMA 50 crossing below the 200, but we're bouncing off the 200. Again, I like that the 4-hour we did break below the 800 EMA, so that's a plus that we have on the 4-hour. And again, on the 30-minute time frame, we're still trading between a very big zone, right? And on the 30, we could say that we have the change of character, break of structure, lower low, and we're looking for a lower high point. So, and again, looking at the EMAs, price is above the 800, it's above the 200, it's above the 50. Internal structure, we're still making higher highs and higher lows. So I'm gonna be very, very patient with gold. Then yesterday we said that I'll mark this up on the 1 minute. It'll look better than the 5 minute. If we were to say that this is higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? The 1 minute will look a little bit better than the 5 minute. But regardless, we're still on an uptrend on the lower time frames on the 1 minute as well. So we'll be patient with gold. Bitcoin gave us an inducement of the highs once again. Tap gave us a triple top pretty much at this point. Also gave us an engulfing candle at these highs. This is going to be interesting for Bitcoin here. Pretty big fucking zone though, I'm not going to lie. Let's go down to lower time frames, see if we have something similar. Right, on the 1 minute we have a change of character, lower low, and then we had smaller lower low, lower high here. We broke below the 800. I would want to say that this is the change. All of this is part of the same structure here. We want to see that break happen here. Right? Or another possibility that could happen with Bitcoin is price is going to give us a change of character again, tap into the engulfing. And this is where we'll look to take the trade, the change of character, break of structure, look to get in here to then continue back down. These are my two possibilities with Bitcoin. And we're going to keep this marked up like this. Let's go back to US 30. All right, US 30 gave us 2 days of rise. Only thing is again that 4 hour. Same thing with the EMAs. We're above the EMAs right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Oil failed to give us that 372 to the bottom side. Pretty much what we talked about yesterday. You know, the areas that we're trading in. You know, everything that's going on worldwide, but also aside from that is just where we're at. 800 EMA. Price never gave us a valid break below the 800. Gave us the inducement. Price respects the 800 EMA. And it just continued that little zone of consolidation that we could see, but on the internal time frames, price is just making higher highs and higher lows the entire time. So oil will be patient with it. We'll see what happens. We'll love to see some continuations on oil. We'll see what happens. Then last but not least, silver, pretty much very similar to gold. Again, this is another pair that I'm actively looking at, but don't really have a complete bias for silver. We're still on an uptrend on the daily time frame, similar to silver. Same thing on the 4 hour. We have the change of character, lower low, right? Waiting to see if a lower high point is going to be set to continue to look for shorts, or if price wants to break above. So at this point, you know what I do like about silver is we pretty much had higher highs the entire time up until now. So what I'm pretty much just looking at on silver is, all right, we're back at these highs, wanting to see if price is either going to break these highs or if price is going to give us the rejection back low. And again, very similar. We have clean traffic back to the bottom once we break out of these lows. So once we break out of these lows, we go back, and then same thing all the way back down to the bottom. Clean traffic here once we get past these lows here. Not a good line, but you guys get the gist of it. But any questions, guys, let me know. Any other pairs you guys want me to go over real quick? Anything you want me to talk about? Anything you want me to explain again? Let me know. For me personally, AU is going to be the pair that I'm going to keep an eye on. For sure, for sure. Outside of AU, nothing else, right? EA is still on a downtrend, moving counter. ECAD, we're still sitting in the shoulder area where price gave us the inducement of the low, and we just continued that zone of consolidation. So until I don't get a valid break of these lows, I'm not really looking to take any trades on ECAD. Let's go back to the daily, right? The reasons why. ECAD, we're in peak high territory. We're bouncing from a daily engulfing candle, waiting to see if this is where price is going to give us that lower low, lower high to continue, or if price wants to continue the uptrend push. So ECAD will be a little patient with. We had a gap in the market for this week, so price staying up at these highs is something that could happen. I said I was going to keep this for now. and wait to see how price reacts over here. So I don't like this small higher high, higher low on the 30, but we'll keep it this way. So ECAD will be patient. EU, I'm taking a little step back again. Would have loved this a little bit better if price would have given us a valid break, higher high, higher low to continue. But because we just have the inducement, not looking to take a trade until I got that valid break. GA moving counter, still pushing down. Could be in level 1 though on a downtrend. GCAD just consolidated again. This is another pair. Just gotta wait for the breakouts. So we'll be patient. GJ peak high territory, but could be a good one to keep an eye on. GJ could be a good one to keep an eye out for. GU similar to EU. Waiting to see what price wants to do at these highs. So at this moment, just taking a little step back. US 30 is a day-to-day basis. If we wake up and we see something cooking up on 30, we'll take it. But for now, no complete bias as to where price needs to go. Similar to gold, same exact situation. Bitcoin, we already know we have that marked up. It'll be a good one to keep an eye on. Oil, not really sure. And silver, same thing as gold. And the same thing, we have it all marked up, so we're ready to get back on the charts later on. But alright, guys. If there's no more questions, we'll see y'all tomorrow. And then we'll see you in the next session on Sunday for the weekly market breakdown. And we'll be back Monday for the trading session and the isolation session at 7 p.m. Peace out.